This is all about how to convert your expertise into income without another degree or certification. And the reason that I put that without another degree or certification is because there's so many of us, right? All of us, these high achieving women, and we're always thinking like, oh, people always ask me, Kelly, should I get another coaching certification? Should I go over here and to do this? Should I get a, PHR or SPHR? Should I do all these things, right? We're always asking about whether or not we should be doing all of these things. And I want to make sure that I can see you all. Let me see if I could see you all. Let me see. I want to see your videos. Video panel. There you go. Okay. I can see you. All right. Perfect. I just wanted to see you. Um, and I'm always being asked those questions about whether or not you should get another degree. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a degree, right? Or that a degree is a bad thing. I have many of them. It's just that sometimes we want to add on and we forget about what we already have and we're not leveraging what we have. So to maximize your time today, I'm going to ask you to remove all your distractions, turn your cameras on if you can, be fully present in the moment, engage in the chat or engage with me, take notes, and then stay till the end because I have a special offer for you and I have a big announcement that I would love to share with you. So my promise to you as we go through this session today is that by the end of the session, you'll have a roadmap to position yourself as the expert in your space, to attract high-paying speaking and media opportunities, and that you will know how to monetize your expertise in a way that builds your business and your legacy. You'll always hear me talking about business because speaking is a business, and oftentimes we forget that part and we just focus on the joy of being on stage and the joy of seeing people, clap and, hug us and be excited about what we're saying, that we often forget that it is a business and we need to make sure that one, we're positioning ourselves, two, that we are attracting high paying, right, clients, that we're attracting the media or other types of visibility opportunities, and that we are monetizing our expertise. So this is not for you if speaking is a hobby. If you have a desire, right? There's many people who desire to be a high-paid speaker, but they're not committed to it or they don't really believe that they can do it. So if that's you, this is not for you. You want the payoff, but you're not willing to do the work. This is a lot of work. So Keisha is on here. Keisha is actually one of my clients. So she's somebody who can answer questions also about what it's like, to work with me, what it's like to go through the programs, what she's learned. That my clients all know that they can answer anything. Y'all can ask them anything. So Keisha is awesome and she'll answer. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, this is not for you, right? And if you're looking for a magic fix, this is definitely not the place for you. But I know that that's none of y'all. So I'm just going to move forward and say that you're in the right place. If you want to learn how to cash flow what you know, which means to monetize what's in this beautiful brain of yours, you truly want to create an impact in the world, you're committed to doing what it takes to make all of this a reality, whatever it is that you have on your vision boards or that you've written down like I did in 2017 when I wrote down what I wanted my life to look like. I had to do the work and I had to be committed to making it a reality. You're willing to invest both time and money to get those results. You're open to seeing yourself differently because one of the things that I do with working with clients is have you look at yourself and your circumstances differently, and that you are an action taker. I am all about action, and you'll see at the end why I say that. I am, and Keish knows this, I am an action taker, and I expect that my clients are also action takers. So first thing first, I want to talk about what I call a professional speaker hierarchy. This is something that I developed in just looking at what is going on in our industry and how people show up in our industry. And so there are three types of speakers in this speaker hierarchy. One is a speaker, right? So everybody says that they're a speaker, and that's a general category. And then you have an expert and you have a thought leader. So let's talk about what are the differences and how they show up. So a speaker, and you'll know this from your own experiences of, being at conferences, being at dinners, being, online and watching people. You know that speaker. That speaker is the person who they're just regurgitating content. You've heard it all before. It's something that they've read in a book. It's something that they saw like the guru say. It's something that they watched on TV. It's just information. They're just giving you information. Like they could be reading from a book, right? They could just be reading from a book and they're just giving you content, content, content. That's all they're giving you. That's what you see a lot. So we see a lot of people out here who really fit into the category of just being a speaker. Then you have those who are experts. Now, experts, in addition to giving you content, what they add on is context. So, what they give you is an environment in which to listen to the information or to analyze the information. So, experts generally will have some type of framework or they will have some way for you to understand a little bit more about the information. It's not just a repetition of things that they've heard, but they're giving you some way to really extrapolate information from it, really understand whatever they're giving you a little bit more. And then you have your thought leaders, and your thought leaders give you content. They give you context, but they also give you connection. And when I talk about connection, what I'm talking about is that they connect the dots for you. When they're giving you that content and then they put the context around it, so they have frameworks, they have all the things that the methodologies and systems and processes, but they help you to understand how that content and that context work together. They also have the ability to connect with you and therefore influence your behavior, influence your decision making, shift your perspectives. So when I work with speakers, I always talk to them about when we build your talks, we're building it on a framework that creates intrigue, transforms the audience, and shifts perspectives. And the reason that you're able to do that is because I move you into this level of being a thought leader. Many of you are already thought leaders, right? But you just don't understand yet the strategy of putting everything together and making sure that there's content, context, and connection. So I'm going to ask you all right now, if you were looking at this hierarchy and thinking about yourself and how you've been operating out in the world and on these stages, where would you put yourself? Tell me in the chat, where would you put yourself? Let me see if I can find my chat. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Let me pull it over here. Hey, Renee. Renee says, I am still an expert. Cassandra says, expert, sometimes thought leader. Janice is probably somewhere between expert and thought leader. Stacia says expert. Good. So we don't have any speakers around here. As my friend Renee says, we don't do eye level, we do high level around here. And so that is awesome that you all are in the expert and thought leader category. So before we move any further, what I want to know is what made you show up here today? What is it that caused you to say, yep, I'm going to take this time today to go listen to Kelly? What made you show up? And if you want to unmute, you can tell me.
For me, I feel like I always want to grow and I want to learn from the best. And I feel you're one of the best. So
Thank
that's
you.
why I came.
Thank you. Let's see. Renee says high level only. That's why I'm here. It's time to be a thought leader all the time. Yep. Janet says I'm expanding my business into another area. Janet, what's your business currently?
I have a communications agency.
Oh, awesome.
I do sort of high level luxury things, and I'm adding coaching to it because I've done tons of it.
You're my girl. Okay, awesome. And when you say communication, what are you doing that for leaders, corporate? Who are you doing that for?
I do it. I have a huge hotel in the hospitality business. So I do reputation management, crisis management, thought leadership, media training, special events, a lot of writing, full service.
Oh, awesome.
Anything
Awesome.
but social media.
And
I hate
right,
social
I
media.
have a love-hate relationship with
Yeah.
social media. So
I get somebody else to do that.
right, get
Yeah.
somebody else to do it. All right, and Stacia, I know that Stacia is a former. So Stacia is y'all is a two-time Emmy award winning producer, ex-producer, but now she's in PR, right, Stacia?
Yes, that is correct.
And
Yeah.
helping thought leaders get their face out there, visibility.
Mhm.
Yes. And I'm here today because I know that I do show up as an expert, but I know that I could be doing more. And so I'm, basically came to you because I know that you're great at it.
Oh, thank you.
I want to actually show up as the thought leader that I am.
Yes, yes. Stacia, put your website or LinkedIn in the chat, please. You're
Absolutely.
being requested. Hey, Nicole, I don't know if you can chat or let me know in the chat box in the comments. Why can't I get that word out today? In the comments, if you can chat with us. Okay. All right. So great to know who is in the room. So before we go any further, why listen to me? Janet is new to me. I'm not sure if I'm new to Janet, and Nicole, I'm not sure that we've met either. Most everybody else on the call, I do know. But I want to just give you a little bit about my background. I am the worst at talking about myself, but I'm gonna do it.
That's why
So
I'm here.
so I am a retired employment law trial attorney. I practiced law this year, actually, September 22nd of this year will be 30 years since I was first sworn in as a lawyer. And I practiced law up until 2019 when I lost my job after they said they could no longer afford to pay me. Well, the great thing is that while they were on their little journey of trying to figure out how they were going to let me go, I was on my journey of trying to figure out how I was going to get out of there. And I started in 2017 thinking about, after being in these depositions and watching all of these experts make all this money from leveraging what they knew, I started thinking about, well, how can I do that? And I made a list, and the list was that I wanted to become a professional speaker. I had been speaking, obviously, for decades, but I wanted to be paid as a professional speaker. Hey, Nicole. I wanted to be paid as a professional speaker. I also wanted to write my first book, and I wanted to do a TEDx. So that was my end of 2017. That was part of the list. And so then I decided that I was going to figure out how I was going to do this and started talking to people, joined the National Speakers Association, and decided that this had to be sooner than later, although I was thinking 2022 is when I would leave. So this is now 2018, and I'm saying 2022, I am going to leave. Well, I had a coach at that time and he said, 2022. He's like, that, Kelly, that's 4 years away. I'm like, yeah, I gotta gotta get it together, gotta save the money, gotta do all the things. And he said, how about 2020? And I said, okay, 2020. But as I just said, in 2019, October 22nd, 2019, I was told that by the end of the year, I would no longer be employed. And so I had to figure this out. And luckily, I had started on this journey of exploration around how I would leave and what it is that I would do. And I said that I wanted to be a professional speaker. I started that journey while I was still practicing law. I had my first paid speaking engagement while I was practicing law. I wrote my first book while I was practicing law, and I delivered my TEDx while I was practicing law. So, in the 11 months from the time that I said that I was going to go on this journey, I accomplished the three things that were on my list. And why did that happen? Because I had the desire, I was committed to it, I believed that I could do it, and I took the action to do it. Was it easy? No, none of it was easy. Did I lose sleep? Lots of it. I was still trying cases. I was still working. My last federal court trial while all of this was happening was a 2-week federal court trial in West Palm Beach. So I was away from home and I had 14-hour days, all of these things. And I tell you those things because I want you to understand that no matter what it is, no matter what you have on those vision boards or wherever it is, it's one thing to desire a thing. It's another thing to be committed to that thing. It's another thing to believe that you can do that thing and then to take action to make it all happen. And so these are just some of the pictures of me from, speaking in different places, being a keynote speaker, being a workshop speaker, being, in really big rooms, being on TV. I had my own magazine, so I published my own magazine. I have now written 4 books. My first book was a book that you see here, Ace Your Workplace Investigations. And my latest book is The Art of Strategic Resistance. So I have written those books. And like I said, I've been on TV. And one of the things that I am most proud of, very, very proud of, is that not only have I been able to live out my own dream of putting myself on stages and being in front of the world and being paid, highly paid as a speaker, but also being able to put women like Keisha on stage. And so you see that bottom picture, those women were in my thought leader circle program last year, and I issued them a challenge essentially of being on stage and working with me for 4 months to develop their signature talks and then get on stage and deliver those talks live. And it was one of the most amazing experiences that I had. I was very, very proud of them. I was proud of me. We did it in 4 months. It was spectacular. It's called Iconic Talks. And at the end, I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna run that back this year, in even in a bigger way. But I want to show you these things because I want you to know that the person who is speaking to you is somebody who has done the things that you're desiring to do. I still do the things that you're desiring to do. And so you're not getting fluff and you're not getting things that I heard from somebody else or that I made up out of whole cloth. These are things that I have actually done and continue to do. And as Keisha will tell you, I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I will tell you when I messed it up. I'll tell you when, it's not so good. Or I'll tell you, like, I'm telling you to do this and I should be doing it, but I'm not doing it. But you really should be doing it. You really should be doing it. And so what I want you to know is that you're in the presence of somebody who is a real straight shooter. You can also see that I have been on ABC, NBC, CBS. I have been featured in Forbes, Authority Magazine. I was in Time. I have been the gamut. So the whole idea of authority elevation, I don't just speak about it, I actually live that every single day. And so when we're talking about authority elevation, what I'm talking about is really increasing your authority and your influence so that you can create impact and get the income that you desire and that you deserve. So that's me in a nutshell.
Hi, my name is.
Oops, let me go back for 1 second. But I don't just want you to hear it from me. I'm going to have you hear from one of my clients, Benice Johnson, just so that you can get a sense of who I am to work with as a mentor. And I'm really, they call me coach, but I'm really more of their strategist and mentor. I just don't like coach, but call me what you want.
Hi, my name is Venice Johnson, the Boldness Coach, and I'm so happy to share with you my experience of working with Kelly as my speaker coach. I came to Kelly with 2 specific challenges. One was that as a veteran speaker, I needed to up-level my speaking game and to find a methodology that would work for me so that I could take my speaking career to the next level. Kelly brought the receipts. The receipts that she brought were the ones that helped her to up-level her career, and she brought them into our coaching engagement. And that was a game changer for me in landing speaking gigs. The other aspect that I worked with Kelly on was to really support me and to help me to take my corporate contracts from a 5-figure contract to a 6-figure contract. And I was able to do that because Kelly helped me to really understand the monetary value of my speaking skills as they related to doing corporate coaching and corporate training. So, if you are in the speaking business, if you are looking to get into the speaking business, Kelly is the perfect coach that can help you to be able to take your speaking career to the next level. I highly, highly recommend Kelly. And I just want to tell you in advance, buckle up, because Kelly is a real coach and she is going to bring the receipts so that you can produce receipts. Happy speaking.
So the reason I wanted to share Venice with you is because Venice has been speaking, like she said, for a long time. She has been speaking, I think, probably 2 decades. So she's been an entrepreneur for 2 decades. And I want you to understand that no matter where you are, whether you're starting out or you're trying, like Janet says, she's trying to add this onto her, add coaching and stuff onto her business, that what I bring to you is strategy. What I bring to you is frameworks. What I bring to you is somebody who can help you to reframe what's in your mind, what's in your brain, and help you really to put it together to package it. So I'm always going to be talking about positioning because positioning is where this all begins. So I just wanted to give you a sense of, who I am in terms of being a mentor and a strategist for people like you, that you understand that, yes, I will get you to do the work. When she says buckle up, it's because I'm like on you about doing the work. But when you do it, you will get results. So, I have not used
Hi,
Canva, so this is okay. So I'm going to ask you. So I made a promise to you earlier, and I'm going to ask you to make a promise to me. And the promise I would like you to make is that you're going to lean into this free training. And I put free in capital letters because we all go to these free trainings and we kind of over here, listening over here, whatever. But I want you to think about this as if you were doing this training or as if somebody was investing in you for you to provide them with information. And I want you to really lean in. I want you to think about as you're watching this, getting the information, but I also want you to watch the process of what I'm doing. I always say this to people, also watch process. Sometimes we get on these things and we're just like, oh, I need to get information. But if this is the type of business that you want to create, and these are the types of things that you want to do, I also want you to watch process. I want you to take notes, but I don't want you to then just take those notes and put them away. When you leave, I want you to implement on what you have learned. So, can y'all make that promise to me that you're going to lean in? Yes, everybody's going to lean in. And you're going to ask questions and you're don't just sit here and let me talk to myself. I need y'all to talk back like church. Talk to me.
Yes,
All right.
leaning in. Let's go.
Leaning
We're
in.
ready. Yes,
Leaning in.
yes.
And the reason I say that too is because, and this will go back when, we talk about investment, we want people to pay us at a certain level. We want people to respect us at that level. But if we don't respect our own selves when we're in spaces, we can't really, expect that from other people. So let's chat for a second. Renee says she's leaning in. Nicole is leaning in. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Such a queen. Is amazing. So inspiring. Thank you. All right. So let's chat for a second. I want you to think about where you want to be. So you came here for a reason, and it's to help you to get to some place that you want to be. So I want you to think about that, where you want to be. And then I want you to compare that to where you are now. And then I want you to tell me in the chat, what or where's the disconnect? Where do you find that there's a disconnect between those two things? And you can unmute or you can put it in the chat.
I can go. I think for me, my disconnect is one of the things that you even said at the beginning of this masterclass, and that was about taking what I know and being able to monetize that. Because often I'm so in my head about, well, doesn't everybody know that? That's so simple, because, a lot of, I attach what I do to, I'm using like what I do to make money instead of what I know. So I think that there's a huge disconnect there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean,
Okay.
I do some of this for clients, but I never do it for myself. It's like the shoemaker's kids. And I need to get out of my own head and start doing more speaking appearances and doing media myself, doing podcasts, which I never do. If I'm going to grow my business, I need to be known more as a coach. People
That's
need to
right.
hear what I have to say.
Yeah. It's when you say that, Janet, and to you, Stacy, also, like because we're brilliant, right? Because we're brilliant, we are often in our head.
Yeah.
And what we have been paid for more often is what we think is the doing, right? So when I was practicing law, I was trying cases. That's like the doing. However, the doing is a manifestation of the knowing. If I didn't know the things, I couldn't do the things. Right.
Hmm.
And
Right.
so when I was in front of juries and I was doing a closing, argument or opening statement or cross-examination or direct examination, the reason that I was able to ask questions in the way that I did, the reason that I was able to get, elicit things from other people is because of what I knew, the information that I knew about my case. Right. And so we have to really start thinking about what is it that we know and how do we then package that? We have to productize our
Mhm.
knowledge as opposed to trying to productize the actual doing of the thing. Right. Because then we put ourselves, which is me. I put right. I'm like, get it done, right? Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And
Mhm.
so I have to really sometimes talk to myself about like what you know is powerful. What you get to communicate to other people is powerful. You don't have to do the thing for them. You need to communicate it to them, right? So thank you all for sharing that. Cassandra says, mindset, I'm believing that I can consistently attract high paying speaking engagements. Absolutely. And yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's a hard thing, right? It's not easy. I'll never say that this business is easy. People tell you, oh, you'll have your calendar full. You can have your calendar full of crap, but it's
Mhm.
hard, right? This is a hard business. Okay. So here's another client I want you to
Before
hear.
I started working with Kelly, I was going through the process of submitting applications to speak at various events and with organizations and associations. And I started seeing a pattern in that process. And that pattern was they were asking for very specific things. For example, what are some of the takeaways? What were, the title of your talk? What is your abstract, right? And I didn't have some of this stuff. And it got me to thinking that, there's something more that I need. So when I saw that Kelly was offering the signature talk experience, I knew that that was a training that I needed because I thought that submitting these applications, it was just a matter of sharing my story, but it wasn't. There was something more to it. So when I got in the signature talk experience, whoa, right? And I went from the signature talk experience and to do other trainings with Kelly. And let me just say this, that since I've gone through these experiences with Kelly, first of all, I've written my signature talk. From that, I've gained confidence for the work that I do as a career and leadership coach, coaching mid career ambitious women. And I've also gained experience in speaking in corporate organizations, being a speaker and getting paid to speak. My first speaking gig I landed after the signature talk experience for an hour for over $7,000. Listen, if you have an opportunity to gain some experience or get in a training with Kelly, don't even think twice about it because I am here to tell you it is an absolute experience. So, Kelly, I just want to thank you for not just being my soror, but being a mentor, being someone that I can
continue to call on and actually continue to learn from. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world.
And I want to say, so Lynn is one of my clients, and she did get that speaking engagement with $7,500. She is one of many of the clients who have, had speaking engagements. And one of the things that I always talk to my clients about is that when you have speaking engagements, you must have a comma and zeros, right? So, Nicole said my job is to the floor reading that she got a paid gig for over 7,000. And they know that I push them to even ask for more than that. But I will push you, but I will also let you say the number that you can say and shut up because that's where the sweet spot is. But my goal is for my clients to make 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 or more, right? For your speaking engagements, because you have all of the expertise to command and demand those amounts of money, but it takes proper positioning. So Lynn, she had that. She just called me last week. She just got a new coaching client. Lynn is somebody who was charging 3 figures an hour, right? For coaching. And I talked to her about it. When we broke it down, she was making less than minimum wage an hour based on how much work she was putting into the coaching program. She just closed her first coaching client at 4 figures. And then she also just got accepted to speak on the HR Florida stage, which is one of the largest HR conferences. And I will also be speaking there. So for me, it's a blessing to be on the stage with one of my clients. So that's awesome. So what I say these things, and I want you to see these people because they are you, and to think about what they're saying, like the confidence and having the product that she needs to sell. So let's go into that. Let's go right into, now this is your note-taking time, your real note-taking time. We're going to be talking about 3 areas today. We're going to be talking about messaging, marketing, and monetization. And we're going to start with messaging. And I purposely put Lynn right before this, because Lynn was talking about her signature talk and creating her signature talk. Who here has what they say is their signature talk? Drop a 1 in the chat if you have a signature talk or you believe you have a signature talk. Stacia, okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Who has somewhat? All right, let me ask you this way. For those of you who don't have a signature talk and you have spoken on stage, what do you talk about? Do you just talk about whatever they ask you to talk about? Nicole says, yeah. Stacia says, yeah. I see Cassandra over there looking like,
I mean, I'm not ready to say, yes, I have a signature talk. However, I do speak on the same type of topic.
Okay. And for those of you, and even Stacia, for everybody here, are you being paid to speak?
I don't think I've ever really given a speech in that sort of a platform. I've presented in conference rooms and, all that kind of thing. But I've not really given a speech. I don't think that I can remember.
Okay, so let's think about that. And Nicole says she's never been able to speak. I've only been on panels. So let's talk about this. Because I want to shift perspectives a little bit. So Janet, you said that you have spoken in conference rooms. What do you mean by that?
Well, I've done presentations for, 30 brand presidents, and it's always on either crisis communications or PR, strategic communications, that sort of thing, topics in and around there. But it's not like I've, spoken in front of an audience I don't know. I did change management for a global company, so I was constantly presenting.
Yeah.
But it's a little different.
And the reason I wanted you, thanks for sharing that, Janet. The reason I wanted you to explain that is because we often discount what we have done as well. It's not really a presentation. It's not really a place where I could do a signature talk. We have to really get very clear. And so even Nicole's saying, I've been on panels. All of that is speaking. All of that is a way for you to, if you have a signature talk, all of that is how you use that to really build your positioning. And all of those things are spaces where you should be paid or have the ability to earn. Because when you're on a panel, when you're in front of a room, I don't care if it's 5 people or 5,000 people or 50,000 people, people are learning from you and they're learning from your expertise. They're learning from everything that you have done over the years, the blood, sweat, tears that you have, expended to get that information, to be able to deliver that information in 15 minutes, in 30 minutes, in an hour, in 2 hours.
Right.
And so when we're talking about signature talks and signature presentations, the reason that this is so vitally important is because as a professional speaker, as somebody who wants to get paid to speak or speak to get paid, if somebody is paying you something, they have to receive something on the other end. And what they need to receive is something of value. And so when you're thinking about yourself as a professional speaker and the business of speaking, I want you to understand that your signature talk is your product. Your signature presentation is your product. It is the thing that you're selling. A lot of people, what they think that they're selling is, I'm selling a keynote, I'm selling a 2-hour workshop. You're not selling that. Those are delivery methods, right? They're not buying a delivery method. What they're buying is, what is the transformation? And the transformation can only come from you having the signature talk. And the reason is because when you have a signature talk, you are honing in on who your clients are, who your paying audience is, who your consuming audience is, what are each of their sets of problems, how is it that you can uniquely solve them? And when we help you build your signature talk, also making sure that you have a unique mechanism or your framework, your process, your system, your methodology that only you use to get them from current state to their desired state. And so if you're not doing that, and if you're just like, oh, today I'm going to talk about this, or I'm going to talk about that, or you're not talking about it, like to your point, Cassandra, that you talk about this all the time, but are you talking about it in a way that if I saw you, I would say, oh, I know that that's what Cassandra does, and she can help me get from here to here because she has this methodology to get me there. Right? Or are we just talking about the topic, like we were saying originally with the speaker hierarchy? Are we just talking about it and giving content? Maybe we give a little context, but we don't really have an entire system that is ours that we can then say to a corporation, hey, when I come and speak to your employees, or if I come and talk on your stage, I am going to be delivering to them a methodology. You heard Lynn talk about the fact that, when she was doing all of these applications, she wasn't getting anything. After working with me, now she's on one of the biggest stages. Why? Because I've helped her to develop her talk that then now she can use in different ways. So your signature talk is not just the thing that you deliver on stage. This is something to also understand. It is not just the thing that you deliver on stage. It is the thing that gets you on stage. It is, and that's why I say this is the product that you sell. So if your signature talk is not built in a way that takes into account all of those things that I talked about, their problems, the transformation that they desire, not what you want for them, their desire, not what you want for them. If it's not built that way and it's not built around understanding what are the benefits, what are the consequences, right? Unless you build your talk that way, then it cannot be used as a sales tool. Your signature talk is a business asset. And it should sell for you. It should market for you. It should position you. It has to do all of those things. It should be built in a way that you create it and then you can use it. It should be built in a way that you can take it and you can go write books. You can develop a course. You can develop a coaching program. You can develop anything that you want because it is the asset that just keeps on giving, right? It is the asset that will get you on TV. It's the asset that will allow you to pitch to podcasts to be able to get on podcasts so that you're not just talking about any and everything. You are talking about a very, very specific thing. Right. And one of we talk about the biggest mistakes when we're talking about biggest mistakes that you make and that's stopping you from getting paid is that when you're going out there and trying to get on these stages, you don't have a signature talk, right? Or you have a talk that you're kind of doing, but it's very vague. You're not very clear about what your topic is. You may say that your topic is leadership, but what about leadership? Everybody talks about leadership. Where are you in the leadership train? Right? Where have you staked out your little piece of the earth, right? To say that this is what I do. Right? When I first started speaking, one of the topics that I spoke on all the time was unconscious bias. Well, I could have just said I talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I knew that that was just too big of a pool. I had to differentiate myself in some way. So when you don't differentiate yourself, it's harder for you to get somebody to pay you because now you're a commodity, right? So you're just like everybody else. So what is it that you can do to differentiate yourself? So you can't be vague. You can't be vague about it, right? Another thing is that you have to make sure that they know who you are and they know that you know what you're speaking about. Because what happens again is that everybody's a leadership speaker, everybody's a relationship speaker, everybody is a finance speaker, everybody is doing all the things, right? We all know everybody who does everything. And we have to make sure that we can stand above that and differentiate ourselves. The other big mistake that we make is it's about us. We make this all about us. So who's heard somebody say, I have a story, I have a testimony, right? And they want to tell their story. And there are plenty of people who teach you how to tell your story. I'm here to tell you that nobody cares about your story. They're not paying you for your story. You are not one of those people in the world whose story matters that much to them for them to want to pay you for it. Right? Now, it doesn't mean that your story doesn't matter. It means that your story doesn't matter in the way that we would normally tell it to other people. Right? And so your story becomes part of your signature talk. It is not your signature talk. And so when I work with you to develop your talk, we look at the entire talk, we look at the entire journey so that we can pick out the stories that matter. And then within those stories, we're also looking at what I call the 3 R's, what is relevant, riveting, and relatable. And that's the part of the story that gets told. Okay. All right. Another thing that's a mistake is that there are no clear takeaways. We tell our story, we do whatever we're doing on the stage, and then we're good. And if people clap, great. If you get a standing ovation, great. But they've left having nothing to do next. What's there to do next? They don't know where to go. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They've heard your whole journey, and that's great, and they feel happy for you. But what was in it for them? So you need to make sure, right, whatever it is that you're doing, that there's something that people get something out of it to take with them to go on to the next thing. So those are some of the biggest mistakes that you make as a speaker. One more that I want to give you, though, is ignoring the business side of speaking, which I talked about a little bit earlier, and really not understanding the separation between what I call CEO times talent. We often live in talent world because that's the fun part. Talent wants to be on stage, talent gets to be in front of the people, talent gets the applause and the hugs and all the things. However, CEO is often mad at you because you are out there just speaking for free or a bag of chips, and CEO is like, oh, but we got a business over here to run. Like, we got things, it costs money for you to be on that stage. And so one of the things that I teach is around this idea of CEO times talent and understanding that what we do most as professional speakers is the back end of this business. 95% of our business is the back end of this business, where we are CEO, HR, operations, finance, sales, all the things. All of those things are what allow you as talent to get on stage as a highly paid speaker. Make sense?
Mhm.
All right, let's go on to how to position yourself so organizations call you instead of you chasing them. This goes back to your signature talk. When we're talking about positioning, brand is not branding. Branding is part of positioning, but positioning means that you have put yourself out there to be the expert in this area, to be the thought leader in this area, and that people know that they can come to you and look to you for the type of information that they need in order to solve the problem that they have, because you have identified that problem in your signature talk. And now you're using the information from your signature talk to develop content, right? So your signature talk is also the backbone of your content that you put on social media, that you put on your YouTube show, on your podcast, that you deliver as a speaker on a podcast, on a panel, in front of a conference. And you position yourself as the person that they can come to and look to for that information. When people, especially corporations, when corporations are hiring, they are looking for you to solve a problem. Often what you have with people who are doing all of these talks, they're speakers, they're not solving any problem. They may have solved their own problem, but they're not solving a problem. And if you want corporations to pay you, you have to understand bottom line issues, bottom line problems, and you have to build a talk that is able to resolve those particular issues. When you're able to do that, and when you're able to show up in your content, right, and in your conversations, that is how you position yourself to be an attractor, right, and to attract people as opposed to always having to chase them. Now, I told y'all this is not a magic fix, so don't get it twisted. There's always, until you become the thing, right, that they will just fall over and pay you any amount of money, there's always going to be some work, right, where you have to go out and get your supper. So don't think that it will never that it'll always be they're going to come to you, but there will be a moment. And there will be things that happen in the world that when you have positioned yourself so well, when that time hits, it's you. And I'll give you a quick example before we move to marketing. When I started out, I had set myself up as and positioned myself as an expert in unconscious bias and had also done my TEDx on bystander intervention. Well, when George Floyd was murdered, that was in the right pandemic March. George Floyd murdered May. At that moment, because I had spent all of that time while I was still practicing law, and even when, it seemed like there was going to be no work to be had as a speaker, still developing my brand, still developing my positioning, my phone could not stop ringing, my emails could not stop in terms of people wanting me to come and do listening sessions and doing all the stuff. So all of the attraction, right? I had attracted these people because I had positioned myself as someone who would be able to help them, right, to get through what was happening. I was a person who could be a trusted advisor and safe space for their employees. So when you position yourself powerfully, then those opportunities will come to you. You don't always have to go out and seek them. They will come to you. So this is why your messaging is so important, because your signature talk is the business asset that is going to keep on giving and giving and giving. All right. Now, what about that marketing? Remember I said, you got to market. What we're doing as speakers most often, right, as speakers, as thought leaders, as coaches, as consultants, all of it, trainers, corporate trainers, we are marketing. That is how we get business. This is when you think about, and this is why, again, it's important to think about speaking as a business, because if you had any other business, if you were selling shoes or if you were selling handbags or if you were selling cars, you would know, oh, I got to market this business. But when we think about speaking as just something that we go out and we do on stage and we're not thinking about it, we don't attach all of the things to the business side of it. Marketing is the way that you're going to elevate your authority and your visibility. And one of the things that you want to think about in this way, so we were talking about social media earlier and the love-hate relationship with social media, is that you don't have to be everywhere. So the point is to optimize your visibility, not necessarily increase your visibility. What I mean by that, and optimizing your visibility, and this is how you can market yourself without the social media burnout, is to figure out where your people are. That goes back to positioning. That goes back to knowing what's in your signature talk, because then who am I speaking to? So for me, I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I used to spend a lot of time on Facebook. I don't anymore. I play around on Instagram, but I don't really post there. I know that my ideal clients are on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. So Janet was saying yes, right? So most.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to be everywhere. I don't care what anybody tells you. And if you have stuff on LinkedIn and you want to like I do on Instagram, I'll repurpose it over there. But you know who I'm creating the content for? I'm creating it for LinkedIn. So think about where your people are, and not just where they are. Where do they make buying decisions? My clients are everywhere. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn. But when I think about my paying audience, not necessarily people who are going to consume my information, even though they're there too, who can pay me? Who can run me my money? They are on LinkedIn, right? And so that's where I spend my time. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn. I do videos on LinkedIn, all the things, LinkedIn. So what you need to figure out for you is, where are your people? Your paying people, and go spend your time there, right? And be very intentional and strategic about spending your time there. You don't have to be there all day. You don't have to be there every day. You just need to be there consistently so that people know, and that the content that you give is consistent on those platforms.
Mhm.
Okay? It's consistency. It's consistency and it's clarity. When people are clear about what you do and who you are, and you're consistent about showing up in that way, when they are ready, they will come to you. And especially if you're looking for corporate clients, do not expect them to be liking your post or commenting on your post. They often will not do that. It doesn't mean that they're not watching. And so sometimes we get upset about that, and then we stop posting because nobody's commenting, nobody's liking my stuff. I'm not gonna. And all you're doing is sabotaging yourself, because I cannot tell you the amount of times that people have been in my DMs or in my emails. They have never, but they are watching. And when they're
Right.
ready, they will show up. So in your marketing, you also have to have some credibility markers. People are looking for certain things, right? So if you're saying to somebody, I want you to pay me 10,000, I want you to pay me 5,000, I want you to pay me 20,000, you have to show up as that type of person. You have to show up as a 5,000, a 20,000, a $50,000 speaker, right? So when you pitch to somebody, or you submit an application, a conference application, you know what they're going to do? What is the first thing they're going to do? What are they going to do, Stacia?
They're gonna Google you.
They're going to Google you.
Mhm.
When's the last time you Googled yourself?
Last week.
Okay. Now, I did this a couple of years ago. I did a boot camp, and I Googled all of the people who signed up, because we often say, oh, I'm a speaker. And you tell people, oh, I'm a speaker, I'm a speaker, I'm a speaker. And then you Google yourself. And what most people do is they will just go look at themselves on that first page. What's going to come up? If you have a LinkedIn profile, it would likely come up. It usually comes up first. If your website is done well, it might come up second. So there might be some stuff there. What people don't do is go look at their images and the video tabs and the news tabs. When you go there, if you're a speaker, are there videos of you speaking? Or is it a whole bunch of other folks? Are there any articles about you? I see Janet Googling herself. Are you Googling yourself? Um, like what comes up? Because that's what people are going to be looking at when they go look at the images. What do they see? Do you have a website? And don't think, I want you to understand this too. Like at the very beginning, you don't have to have a whole blown out website. When I first started in this profession, I had a landing page, just one page with the information on it. But you need to have certain things on there. They're looking for that. Do you have testimonials? Do you, if you're a coach, do you have case studies? Right? Do you have you been on the news? Have you been on TV? Have you been in the media? Have you been on podcasts? They're looking for credibility markers outside of yourself. They're looking for other people, that other people have had you on their stages, because then they feel that, okay, well, it's at least safe, especially if it's a credible source. Okay, that person, right? That person's safe. People are saying stuff about you. Okay. Or they can see you. And it doesn't mean that you have to be on a big stage and a professional stage when I'm talking about video, but they have to see that you speak. You know, one of the things for my clients, I'm always pushing them like, speak or speak. And, you know, it's great that, you know, LinkedIn lets you post words all the time, but you're not a writer. You're a speaker. And so people need to see you speak. They need to hear you. They need to see, can you, like, what happens? Suppose the tech goes down, or like, how do you show up? People need to hear you if you're a speaker. So that's also a credibility marker. Cassandra said, feed spot just recognized my blog as 11 in holistic space and 13 in Christian health. And I had no idea that they knew I existed. Right. So, and for you, that's great because you're being known as a writer. If you want to be known as a speaker, so we also need to make sure that you're getting those things, right? That people are being able to recognize you for that. And then finally, in terms of marketing, I want to talk to you about how do you get your name in the right rooms? This is about relationship building. This is about having a referral network, but this is also about making sure that it is clear about what you do and who you are and what you speak about and the problems that you solve so that other people can speak your names in rooms. I'm going to give you an example from me. My to date only six-figure speaking contract, but hey, we'll take it. And the way that I got that contract is that I have a colleague, and she was, when I had my Ladies Who Leverage program, she was in Ladies Who Leverage, and she was part of a program, and an incident happened at that. They were at a conference, and the incident happened, and they needed somebody to clean it up. And they around the issues that I speak about. And so she was able to say, I have the perfect person for you. And so she spoke my name in that room, which I would never have known about this ever. Like there was no way that it wasn't something that I could have pitched for or anything. So she spoke my name in that room. Now, that's the first part. I then had to show up as that person that she spoke about. So that's the other thing. You can't have people speak your name and then when you come in, you're inconsistent around what they have said about you, right? So I had to show up in that room and in those conversations as the person that she said, this is the person who can fix this for you. And I pitched them. I wasn't the only person. And I was not, they told me later when they selected me that I was not the lowest in terms of my pricing. But they chose me because they could tell that I was committed to this work. It wasn't just something that I was doing, and the way that I spoke about it, the way that I positioned myself in the conversations with them, they were willing to pay me more money to come and do it. This is why it's so important to understand your positioning, have your signature talk, know who you are, be very clear and be very consistent. because those things are going to show up or not in these conversations, these sales conversations. And understanding who you are in your signature talk will really lead you to be able to have these conversations and be able to answer any questions that they have about how you can move them from their desired state to from their current state to their desired state. And that's very, very important. So marketing is vitally important, and marketing comes in all kinds of ways. Marketing comes with posting on social media. It comes with going out and networking with other people. It might be, being on a somebody's podcast. It could be having your own podcast. I just started my podcast, my new podcast, right? It was me having a magazine. It's writing books. It's all of those things that put out there that you're not just some, fly by night person who's like, oh yeah, I could talk about that. No, like you actually are out here showing people that you can do it, doing live streams, right? That's a stage. Create your own stage. Those are all things that you can do in order to market yourself. It's really limitless in terms of how you can market yourself. You just have to really hone in, and again, be marketing yourself in places where your paying audience is. Okay. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. So let's talk about what y'all really want to know is where the money resides, right? The monetization. And it's really about building a business and not just a gig. So if you ever hear me say gig, that just means that I slipped up because I really don't like the word. Because when we think about a gig or a speaking gig, it's like just a one-off, like something I do every now and then. No, this is really a business, right? And so we have to really think about, how do we make money in this business? Renee is still on. Renee will know. Renee is always talking to me, and then she'll be like, okay, great. That's a great idea. What's the monetization plan around that? like how are we gonna make some money around that thing that you are talking about, Miss Kelly Nicole? What are we gonna do about that? And so we always want to be thinking about, when we have a signature talk, when we decide to have a coaching program, or when we're see, she put money, which when we're putting all of these things, she is a finance guru. She used to work on Wall Street. She's, CMO. She's brilliant. She now, runs her own finance business and all kinds of other businesses. She's a serial entrepreneur and just an all-around baddie, and knows money like nobody else. And so you have to understand, where does the money reside within the idea. And so when you're looking at cash flowing what you know, when you're looking at how do I convert all of this expertise into revenue, I want you to think about some of these areas that are really the 5, I would say, most profitable revenue streams for speakers. The first is speaking, right? Speaking, I think they said speaking is probably the highest paid profession in the world, because where else do you get paid some people get paid $200,000 to speak for 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Where else does that happen? Right? But even if you think about us, come closer, right, to just us, and think about it. I've been paid $30,000 to sit right here in front of my computer for an hour and 15 minutes. Right? I've been paid $20,000 to sit here for less than that amount of time. So, and then when I say that so that you understand. And it's not that I had to do that and something else and something else and something else. No, I sat here for an hour and I delivered, and they paid me my money. I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to have a workbook. I didn't have to have any of those things. So I want you to understand that there's so much money to be made, but it really ties back to positioning. I am positioned that way, right? And so I can command those fees. So I want you to think about that. Speaking is very profitable, whether you're speaking whether somebody's paying you to speak or you're speaking to get paid, right? There's money in that. Second way is strategic partnerships. So one of the things that I have is a strategic partnership with my mentor, where I will train her clients and sometimes she trains my clients. We speak about the same things, that the thing that we share together, we talk about the same topic. Now, some people will be like, well, that's crazy because that's your competition. No, it's not. It's expansion. Because when I can't do it or when she can't do it, we know that there is somebody who can. And either I pay her or she pays me from what we get from the client. Right. So think about how you can make strategic partnerships. She also does in her business a lot of things that I don't do. So what I have done several times is I go into my client, I might do some work, and then I realize, oh, you need this additional thing. So then I say, hey, I have the perfect person for you. She can do this. And guess what happens? When she gets that contract, I get a percentage of her contract. And oftentimes there's training inside of that contract that I can do. So then I also get paid to do the training. Right? So we gotta really think about these things and not be afraid to really look at where are some other ways, what are some other ways? Don't always think about there's competition and that, oh my God, be so scarcity mindset that we don't see the opportunities. And the goal down feeling pumped, girl. Good, just wait. We're getting there. Okay. Another way is to license your content. So we make a lot of content. We have courses, we have all these things. Companies will purchase licenses to use your content, right? So you could have, say you have a 5-part series. So I'll use Janet for 1 second. Janet, you have a 5-part series on crisis management. We know right now they all need crisis management, all kinds of stuff going on, right? So say you have a 5-part series and you say to them, listen, you can either hire me to come in and do it, I will do that, or you can license this. I already have it, it's already recorded, or you sell it before it's even recorded, and I'll license it to you. Licenses, you can get a 6-figure license for a year, right? So that's a way to get your content. The other way is if they pay you to speak, you can say, listen, you can't record. You cannot record me. If you would like the recording, I will license that to you. So not only do you get paid for speaking, but then you get paid for the license recording. So licensing, strategic partnerships, speaking, right, are 3 ways that you can 3 profitable revenue streams for speaking. Another is coaching and consulting, right? So I know a lot of you do that or want to do that. Coaching and consulting, but coaching and consulting is also hard in the sense that there's so many coaches and consultants out there. So again, you have to be positioned powerfully and you have to be positioned in the right way and you have to go after the right people. You have to think about which end of the spectrum you want to be on. So for me, in terms of speaking, I work with experts. I work with people who have a deep level of expertise. They're just not sure yet how to package it and put it. I'm not teaching you how to speak. I'm not teaching you the basics of speaking. I'm dealing with people who are at a different level because that's where I want to operate. You have to think about where you want to operate and then talk to people at that level. Right. And so when you're coaching, and this is especially true for coaching, you have to really understand, because the other thing you don't want to do in coaching, especially if you have group coaching, if you really want to make money, is that you don't want to bring people in at all these disparate levels. Hey, Marshallie, you don't want to bring in people at disparate levels because it's harder, right, to keep the container and to keep people motivated and keep people going. So coaching, mentoring, and consulting is another stream of income. And then hosting your own events. We're often looking for stages. Sometimes you just got to create your own stage, right? And that could be a virtual stage or it could be an in-person stage. And sometimes you have to just start small. So that room and that stage may only be 2 people. It may be 1 person. It doesn't matter. It is to get the reps in of being on stage and hosting, because the other thing that it does for you is to teach you how you need to show up when somebody's hosting you. Right? Because you're like, oh, well, this is how, this I need to make sure that everything is right. But don't wait. If part of what's holding you back is that, oh, I don't have any video. I don't have any testimonials. I don't have any proof. Then create it. Turn on your Zoom, invite some people, do your presentation, do you get a recording, get some testimonials, take the video and freeze it and get some pictures. Right? Let's get resourceful around here. But hosting your own events is also a very profitable revenue stream, but it also comes with a lot of expense. So I'll put that, unless you're just doing, like a virtual like this. But live streams, if you do a series live streams, or this is an event, what I'm doing right here is an event, right? So just really start thinking about how you can show up for yourself. And then speaking of events, we're talking about free engagement and strategically landing bigger paid opportunities. You'll hear me say don't speak for free. What I mean when I say don't speak for free is that do not speak without any possibility of making any money at any time from having been on that stage. And not just any time like in the future, not like, oh, maybe 3 years from now I could get some. No, you got to think about that it costs you money to get on stage. So if it's one of those things where you are speaking to get paid, you need to understand who is in that room. Who is going to be in that room? Are those the people that can actually pay me? Is that my paying audience? And what happens is a lot of people say, oh, you'll get great exposure. To who? You don't even know who my audience is, because sometimes y'all don't even know who your audience is. So they can't know that your audience is going to be in the room. And great, they're in the room. Are they paying people? Are they paying people? Or are they just consuming people? Right? Because they may be your audience, but they're not people who are going to pay you to get information. Right? They love hearing from you. They love gathering the information, but they're not necessarily going to pay you. So if you're going to a free engagement, you need to ask questions like, who all gonna be there? Like, who is going to be in that room? When have you done this before? How many times have you done it? How many people have been there? For the speakers who have you've given them, said that you've given them exposure, what have they gotten on the back end of that? How long did it take? This is the CEO part of you that speaks, as opposed to the talent who wants to be on stage and will do it for anything, including a bag of chips. Right? So the CEO has to be the person, the CEO, HR, finance, operations, sales, marketing, that part of the business has to have these conversations to allow talent to show up on the stage to bring in the money on the back end. Okay. And then lastly, I think most of you are already out of corporate, so I don't think this necessarily goes to the people who are here. But when you are transitioning, even if you're transitioning from one part of the business to the next part of the business, what you want to make sure is that you are doing this in a way that is strategic, that you have planned this out. I actually did on my podcast, and so I won't go into much detail here, but on my podcast, there is a whole video about that. I talk about like 8 things that you should really be thinking about in terms of like transitioning from vision to execution and everything that's in between. But you really need to map it out so that it makes sense. And even here where you're thinking about, I want to be a paid speaker. I want to, go from people not paying me to people paying me. Well, what does that look like? Yes, we have the vision. We got to reverse engineer. Do we have all of the things in place? Do we have the things to make sure that we're positioned powerfully? Do we have things that allow us to market? Do we have the systems set up to allow us to market ourselves in the way that we need to market ourselves? If I'm in a sales conversation and somebody says, yes, I'm going to pay you, right? We're into monetization. Do you even know how to like get them a proposal? Do you have a proposal? Do you have a contract? Are you just relying on their contract? Do you have your bank accounts, your W-9s? Like, do you have all the things that set you up as a business so that when you're in these conversations, you're having a B2B conversation as opposed to a T2B conversation? Most of you are having T2B conversations, talent to business, and therefore it's not an even playing field. If you start to think of yourself as a business, you will then be having a B2B conversation. And then it's more of a level playing field. And though this company might be $1 billion company that you're speaking for, guess what? They need your expertise. They're having problems. You don't have the problem that they're having. They're having the retention problem. People running out of their business. They need you to be able to solve it. And so if you start to think of yourself as a business that's helping another business solve a problem, that is how you will be able to set yourself up and position yourself to be that powerful person that commands these fees, that attracts your right paying audience, and that positions yourself as the expert in your field. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Cassandra said, if you found me, why do you think I need exposure? Because they do. Because it's become a thing of the industry. Exposure. Any questions on those three parts before I go further? Because I want to not just leave you with information, because that's not what we do, right? We talked about you always have to have takeaways. So what I want to move into, if we don't have any questions just yet, and I'll have another point where we can ask questions, is I want to move into inviting you to move from this space here with me for free and move into what I call my influence and income implementation intensive. One of the things that I have done in this work over the past several years is test out different ways to work with my ideal client. I have done 1-day programs, 3-day programs, virtual, in person. I've done year-long programs. And what I find is that the longer they are, the more time you have to waste. The longer they are, the more time you take to do the things. I also found that sometimes it's not necessarily a bunch of like information that you need, but you actually need things. You need deliverables. You need, I'm saying to you, like, you have to market yourself. Like, do you have a website? Do you have, lead magnets? Do you have a landing page? You need the things that you need to go out there and give to people who you're trying to get to pay you. And so I have been thinking about, how do we do this? How do we make this work so that you can decide what it is that you need? Where are you and what do you need? And I came up with these 7 implementation intensives. What these are 1-day, 4 to 6 hour intensives, times that you spend with me. And what we're going to do is, whatever that topic is, we're going to work on specific things related to that topic. So for example, AI powered content strategy. Many of you just post to be posting. There's no rhyme, there's no reason, there's no intention, there's no strategy, there's nothing. What we would do in this intensive is figure out what it is, who's your audience, what are you trying to get across, what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and then we're going to use your content and we're going to use AI to help you develop your content. I built, the other day, I built an AI model called Remixy, and you'd be able to use Remixy to remix your content. And so one of the ways that I use Remixy is that I do my podcast, then I take my transcript from my podcast and I put it into Remixy, and Remixy will create newsletters, quotes, show notes, anything that I want it to. And I have programmed it to be able to do that. So in this one, like, you would bring something, some transcript, and we would use that so you can use Remixy to understand how you would develop all of these pieces of content, because we got to shorten the amount of time that we're spending also on creating content. Authority and positioning will be about marketing and branding and positioning, making sure that we have all the things. What does your LinkedIn look like? If you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, when I go look for you, what is there? Are there any videos? Do we need to create videos? What is it that we need to do? So we'll be talking about marketing and branding. Corporate speaking and consulting, we're going to talk about how do you get into the corporate space? What is it that they're looking for? Are you positioned to be able to get those types of contracts? So many of you want, right, to be in these corporate spaces, but you're not set up for that. Many of you are not set up for that. How to find and land speaking engagements. This is what y'all all want to know. You want to know where to find them. Well, the thing about this one is that, again, we have to be positioned properly. But here I will show you, like, we will go and do the searches. So we'll figure out what it is that you're looking for. We're going to do the searches. You're going to leave every time that you come to one of these intensives, or you will leave with something done. It will be a done. We're doing it with you on that day. You will not leave with just information. We are going to implement. That's why they're called implementation intensive. Lead magnets and funnels. This is how you build your email list. We have to build our email list because we do not own social media. So though we live on social media, we need to have our own place where we can nurture our people. And so we will be building a lead magnet and also building a short funnel. Does everybody know what a funnel is? And a workflow and how to build them? And if not, that's what we'll be doing in lead magnets and funnels. In business models, Laura, it says packing and pricing. That's supposed to say packaging. It's supposed to say packaging and pricing. Got to fix that. Packaging and pricing. Again, this is how I got my six-figure contract, right? So it wasn't that I just said, here's the contract for six figures. It's how I set it up. So understanding how you package and how you price. And one of the things that I'll teach you is my authority pricing model, so that you really understand that you're how to price, and that is not just a pricing is made up, but it will show you how to, in your own mind, attach the real value to the price that you say, and understand that it can only be at least this number. It can't be less than that, right? So I remember talking to a speaker one time. She told me her fee was $444. Don't ask me where she got that from, but I was like, it can't be that. So, so we're going to be talking about that. And then podcasts, books, magazines, and events. If you're interested in launching a podcast, writing a book, launching your own magazine, or doing an event, that's what that implementation intensive will be about. We'll figure out what it is you want to focus on, and then we will work on that. So these are the 7 implementation intensives, ways that you can work with me going forward. So what is the investment? The investment is, if you just want to do one intensive, or you want to do like one-off intensives, each intensive is $997. If you want to do 4 of them, so if you saw 4 of them, like you're like, oh, I want these 4, then you can buy 3, get 1 free, and it'll be $3,000. And if you want to get them all, you're like, nope, I need all 7 of those things, then it's buy 5 and get 2 free, and it's $5,000. Now, let me tell you that I should be charging way more money for all of this, but I really want to support you all in getting the things that you need to get to the next level. And if you don't have these things in place, and you don't understand that these are the pieces of the business that need to be in place in order for you to be a person who they say, when you say to them, yeah, it's $30,000 and I'll be there for 30 minutes. If you want to be that person, you have to have those things in place. So 2 ways that you can get to these intensives. You can either scan the QR code, or go to influenceandincome.live, and you will see all of them there. If you want the 4-pack or the all access, you'll see a card that says 4-pack or all access. You can choose that. If you want to do individual ones, you can choose that. You'll also see that each of those 7 intensives will be done 2 times this year. Starting April 26th is when the first one will, when we'll do the first one. But you'll see that you'll see the date, so you're able to choose what date you want for any intensive. Same thing for the 4-pack, you'll be able to choose specifically which one you want and which date. And then for the all access, you're just going to click, and then we'll have to figure out what your dates are, because I don't think I set that one up for your dates. So those are the intensives. One thing I want to add on for you as a bonus. So we have bonuses for you. If you, fast action bonus, if you sign up for the all access, whether you do a payment plan, so the two bundles have payment plans. whether you do a payment plan for or all in for the all access, if you do that by tonight at 11:59 p.m., you'll also get a 30-minute one-on-one strategy session with me and then a free ticket to my expo. So let me tell you about that because this is the announcement that I had for you all. So I'm working behind the scenes. It's not out in public yet, so only you all know this. And you're gonna get a free ticket to it if you sign up. I have been looking at this industry and I realized that in this industry, we do not have a trade show. Everybody else has a trade show, or we go to these conferences and everybody's selling us something, and or we go to a showcase and we get to showcase on the stage, but then when we get off the stage, the people who have tables and booths and have their businesses set up are not us. We still have to be going to them to be like, pick me, pick me, pick me. I am I am flipping the industry and I am developing a trade show for speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants. It is also going to have a showcase. So what we're doing is, and this is going to happen in November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta. What I'm developing is that the speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants will actually be able to have exhibit booths at the expo so that you can show up as a business and that people come to you as a business and be able to purchase your services and your products. You can put up your branding and you can show up as the business that you are. The other option, so you would get a free ticket to that expo. The other thing that we're going to have at this event, so it's a 3-day event. First day is if you want to have a mogul pass, you'll be in our mogul like mastermind on the first day. The second day will be a full day of training and also an evening reception. The third day is going to be an expo. A showcase. That is going to be our Iconic Talks showcase. So in the beginning, I told y'all that, we did Iconic Talks last year. We're actually going to do Iconic Talks live this year on stage in front of people. And part of the guests that we're going to invite are decision makers. So corporate decision makers and event planners, so that you are speaking to an audience that could book you and that can come to your booth. So there will be 12 spots open for that. If you purchase all access by tonight, you will get the free general admission ticket and you'll also will waive the application fee, which is $25 for you to be in that showcase. We're only going to select 12 people to be in that showcase. This is going to be a huge event in terms of just shifting the way that we think about this business. And I'm behind the scenes working, getting sponsors and talking to different people, and people are really excited about this. We're also going to have other exhibitors who are adjacent businesses, meaning businesses that support speakers. So you will be amongst these other businesses as a business, showing up not just as talent. This is CEO. This is CEO magic happening in the expo. If you aren't able, or you're not ready to do fast action, just know that the bonuses will still stay. And actually, this is wrong. This is what happens when you do this in the midst of other things happening in life. The bonuses. So when you look at April 9th, 10th, and 11th, you will still get the free ticket to the expo and the application waiver fee. So if you do any of the whether it's a single intensive, whether you do all access, whether you do a 4-pack, if you do that before the 11th, you will still get the free ticket and you will still have a waiver of the application fee. You just need to let me know that you want. I'll know that once you purchase, and I can send you the link, and then you can go and complete the application. So every bonus you get if you do fast action by 11:59 p.m. tonight for the all access. Everything else, you get bonuses. You will get the free ticket and the waiver for the application fee all the way to the 11th. The bonuses, all of them go away at 11:59 p.m. on the 11th. You can still, after that, forever and a day, sign up for the intensives. You just don't get these bonuses. I want you to know that the tickets for the general admission, right now, we're saying that the top end will be 800. It may be a little bit more than that. So that's an $800 value that you get right there. And then the application fee is $25. And then the 30-minute one-on-one strategy session on my website. I forget how much it is on my website, but it's priceless. If you know, talking to me for 30 minutes will just change your whole life. So it's really priceless. So if you want to do any of these, you can go to influenceandincome.live. Your last option, say you're like, Kelly, I'm not really sure. I'm not ready for the intensives, but those tickets, I want to come to that expo. That expo that you just talked about, and I'm telling y'all, when everything comes together and it comes out in the public, you all will have been the first to know about it. You can purchase, and this is for a very limited time. And this is for you all in my newsletter list. You can get your pre-sale expo tickets. If you want general admission, right now you can get it for $300. And if you want the mogul admission, which means you get all 3 days, general admission, you get 2 days, mogul admission, you get 3 days. Mogul is $700 right now, and general admission is $300. So you can scan those QR codes. And I would love to see you all in the intensives. I would love to see you at the expo. And right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up for questions. You can ask me questions about anything that we talked about today in terms of content or anything that has come up for you. Or if you have any questions about the intensives or the expo, I am happy to answer those questions for you. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all of your faces. And I am here for you. Any questions? I would love to know also your ahas and takeaways from today. So go ahead, Stacia.
I do have a question about the intensive.
I can't hear you.
You can't?
It's really low.
Let's see. What's going on?
That might be me. Hold on. It might be me.
Now I couldn't hear her
Okay.
either.
No, she's
Like
low.
it
Yeah.
sounded
Either
muted.
she has a headphone plugged in and she doesn't realize it, but she sounds muted. Nothing's plugged into the phone. Are you on the computer? Oh, you're low.
Come close. Like, that's weird because we could hear you before perfectly.
Wait a minute, hang on one second. Let me see. I wonder if it has something to do with some tabs or anything open. Child, it's always right.
Hey, Marsha Lee.
Let's see. Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Yes.
So yeah, I had to close some because I have 50 million tabs open.
Like me.
Do you have the dates for the intensives already set?
Mhm. Yeah, and they're on when you click on there, it'll tell you the dates for each one.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or
I
comments?
don't have a question, but I would like to say a few things.
Yes, ma'am.
So, hello, ladies. My name is Keisha Hickson. As Kelly said, I was part of her first signature black print, where she taught my signature talk black print, where she taught me how to craft my signature talk. And one thing she taught me was, as she said in this presentation, is less about your story and more about how you transform the audience. And I had it in the reverse. I was in banking for 26 years. I was a senior executive at the bank. I spoke all the time. But to speak to transform people is a different formula. Kelly definitely taught me the framework that I use to craft my signature talk. I also use it in my other business life. I think that comes mostly from her lawyer training of how to raise the issue and solve the issue. So that was great. But I want to kind of get into the iconic talks that we did last March, as she just announced that she's doing another event this November. When Kelly came to the group with the idea of putting on our own signature HR conference, and we also received HR credits for that, Sherma credits. It was an accredited event. We all were very scared, right? Because we were never on a stage of that magnitude. And some of us were, but just because we were in this master TLC year-long program to try to get paid to speak and really craft our brand, it was intense. All of us were scared, all of us, even Venice, who spoke, and she was already on big stages. She was very nervous. The production, if I tell you, was top tier. The production was top tier. Renee, who's on the call as well, was a moderator, host for the event. It was like we were in the news office, in the newscasting. Well, I know Stacey is in TV production, teleprompter, high end, movie cameras. Nothing was amiss. It was an extremely great experience to actually be on a large stage, because that's what it would be like to be at South or Southwest or HR Florida conference that's coming up. It was well worth it. So she also asked the question of why did you end up on this call today? So after working with Kelly for over a year and a half, I would consider a dear friend of mine. I sent her a note to let her know that Madison is committed to the University of Buffalo, who's my daughter, and I sent her a picture because we still share life events with each other. We don't speak every day, but we're very much connected, check on each other. And that's something that I never received from a coach, because I paid for other programs prior to this, thousands of dollars. And meeting Kelly, I really realized what was missing in the whole coaching experience, right? And I think social media makes us feel like everybody should be a coach. I realized I don't want to be a coach, right? I just want to be a speaker. I would do like one-on-one intensives, maybe 2 days. I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. So sometimes you think that being a coach and being a speaker comes into play, but you can really choose the path that's right for you and what you want to do. And Kelly helped me kind of hone in on that. Be like, if that's not what you want to do, don't do it. And this is what you should focus on. So I just want to give you my feedback about what it was like for me and many others working with Kelly. It was money well spent, right? And FYI, you guys are actually getting a steal because I didn't pay that price. I'm here to tell you, I did not pay that price. Right? But for me, it was money well spent. She goes above and beyond. She's always there to give you feedback. She never leaves you on the hook of, I'm gonna give you a little bit, but to get the rest of the information, you got to buy into something else. Like these other programs that's on the internet, she generally cares about her clients and she wants to see us succeed. The TLC WhatsApp group is still going on. Any new wins, they posted in the wins. If they need help with something, I need help. Can you tell me how to find a graphic designer? We still communicate with each other, even though the program is over. So I just want to give you my little 2 cents. If you have any questions for me, I'm here to answer it. Even after this, you can send me a message on LinkedIn. I am Keisha Hickson. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. I'm looking forward to November. I will be there. I will be there.
Yay.
And hi,
Thank you,
Miss
Keisha. And I
Renee.
didn't pay her to do that. I didn't
No,
even
and
know she was
I
going to
was
do
not
that.
supposed to be on this call. But two things too. Like, so I have a master class. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna log on because I'm the type of person sometimes I need reinforcement. And I took notes. I need to hear it more than once to keep consistent. It's just you got to know who you are and the type of learner you are. And I think we all go through phases with that. It's so much information coming at us at once. Oh, do this, post on Instagram, post on Facebook, and you kind of like get lost on what to do. So I was like, oh, no, I'm gonna log on tonight because I'm not doing anything. I wrote down some gems and some things that maybe she said it before. I didn't hear it, but I heard it tonight and I wrote it down. So it was well worth it for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Marshall, I saw
You're
that
very
you
welcome.
said you're not feeling well. Hope you feel better. Thank you for that, Keisha. I truly appreciate that. And you're right. Like I do care. They
Mhm.
know I'll be in their DMs, I'll be in their text messages,
Mhm.
all over them. And so, for me, the intensives are really a way to pull you into a space where you actually get something done that you know that you need done, right? If you want to do your signature talk, that's also a program that I have. So if you want to do your signature talk, you can talk to me about that, and we can do your signature talk. But the intensives are specifically for you. If you all see, like, if you follow me, you see stuff. It's me. It's not a team like building on. So you see my graphics, you see all this stuff. It's me. It really, literally is me. If you go to my website, I built it. Like I did that, right? And so for me, I've learned how to do all this stuff, and one day I'll have a team who will do all of it. But for many of you, you don't have a team, right? You can't afford a whole team to be doing all those things, but you still need the things. And so the intensives are my way of ensuring that you get those things and you have the things that you need to be able to move forward, because what holds you back is you saying, well, I don't have that. Or, okay, well, then you
Mhm.
go to submit for a conference and they ask for, well, do you have, you need to give us a 1 to 2 minute video. And you're like, I don't have a video. So now you have no video. So now you're not going to submit. Or they want an abstract of something, or they want something that you're just like, I don't have that. You want to have an event, but you don't have an email list because you don't have a lead magnet that you can send to people to bring into a list. You want to be known as a thought leader, but you don't have a book and you don't have a podcast and you don't have a magazine and you don't have, you haven't done your own event. So I tried to think of the things that I know that I have accomplished that have really helped me to be able to do that. When you think about a book, like for example, I'm doing a keynote in 2 weeks. One of the things, they couldn't pay my full fee. So one of the things that we did to bridge the gap is that they bought 110 of my books. Right? So all of these things, right, having these pieces in the moment, it may not seem like, a thing, but all of these things are things that you can then leverage to cash flow what you know. Right? So I'll be sitting here signing 110 books, right? But they're going to have my books. And so these are things that, and a book does not have to be a thesis. It does not have to be like a major treatise or anything like that. So there are ways, right? We can show you how to write your book and you can do it easily. How to repurpose your content and do that easily. How to build a lead magnet and a short funnel and nurture people and do that easily, right? And so you can choose, like I said, you could choose one intensive, you could choose multiple. The best thing to do is either get 4 or all of them, because if you buy 4, you get one, you get 3, you get one free. And if you do all 7, you're paying for 5 and you get 2 of them free. And like Keisha said, they ain't paid that for
No.
working with me. They worked with me for a year. It was a lot more money than that. But these are like short bursts, right? They're 4 to 6 hours of time with me on a Saturday. I'm giving up 2 Saturdays a month for the rest of the year. I have scheduled for people. If people show up, we'll do it. If they don't show up, we ain't doing nothing. But you can choose how you want to do it. The intensives are set at the $997. The bundles, the 4 or the all access, they have payment plans that you can take advantage of with the payment plans. And then, like I said, with regards to the big event that's coming up in November, if you're like, I don't need the intensives, but I do want to be in a space where I get additional training, where I get to, think about maybe exhibiting. So you don't have to speak on stage to have a booth or a table in the exhibit hall. But if you do get chosen to speak, if you are selected as one of the speakers, it is a requirement for you to have a booth or a table, because the whole idea is for you to
Mhm.
show up fully as a business. But then you can also just come to the event. You don't have to, exhibit. You can just come to the event and enjoy the showcase and get all the training and be a part of what is going to be a shift in this industry that I am making this. I want us to be known and treated and respected as businesses, but it starts with us first respecting ourselves as businesses. And so putting you in that position to be able to do that. And it's interesting because I never thought that I would do kind of a pay to play kind of thing. But I find that this is necessary in terms of getting speakers to really understand that this is a marketing play for your business. And I'm going to take care of creating the ecosystem within which this happens and inviting the people and making sure that people are in the room. And you have to make sure that if you're going to be there, that you show up as the business that you say you are, and the business that can generate leads and also, get people to book you and to hire you. So any questions that y'all have about the intensives, any questions, you can put it in the chat. I know Marsha Lead, your voice is not up to par. Or, anybody have any questions about the event itself? It's still we're still in the planning stages of it. And like I said, nobody knows about it but y'all in my committee. But do you have any questions about it? What it, like what it's going to be like? Why am I doing it? Anything like that? how you can be involved, or anything about the intensives or what you learned today.
Yeah, the event, I know you're still planning it out. Did you say it was gonna be in Atlanta or?
Yes.
Okay.
November 3rd through the 5th. And other than that, if there's no questions, I will give you back your night. Anybody have a
there's not
takeaway or go ahead, Cassandra.
There's not a link yet for the event, correct?
Mm-mm.
Or is it the link for the
if you want to purchase
influencing
your ticket or to find out about the event?
to find out more, the
It's
options
being
for
built.
vending and
Yeah, no, everything's being built. So you're getting like
Okay.
all the behind the scenes.
Okay.
You're in the behind the scenes. So right now what we did was just to be able to do we wanted to give you all the opportunity for those pre-sale tickets. That price is gonna go up in 2 weeks. And then also if you know that you want to if you're thinking about that you want to apply, then don't apply yet, or when it comes out, and you're going to get the intensive, if you do it now before the 11th, you'll get the waiver for the application fee. Otherwise it's going to be $25. And if you get your intensive, you're going to get the ticket if you do that by the 11th. So you have your intensive, which is $997. The ticket is valued at $800. The waiver is $25. So you coming up. Right. So so you can think about it that way too. So just think about what you want. I can go back to the slides to show you the so the intensives, just go to incomeandinfluence.com. And then if you want the slide with the QR codes for the tickets, I can show you that again too. It'll be out. Everything will be out in the public. Our goal is to put it out in the public by May 3rd. That is our target date. So there's this price for you all for the tickets, just the tickets themselves, and then it's going to increase. And then by the time it goes out to the public, the whole public, it will increase again. So that's where we are on that.